What do AI and teenage conversations have in common? Everyone talks about it. Nobody knows how to do it. Everyone thinks everyone else is doing it, so then they claim they're doing it. Now, this is the PG version of it. You guys obviously know what I'm talking about, so use your imagination. But that's kind of what's happening right now. So the good news is, if you have FOMO, or if you're nervous that you're not doing enough, please don't. Rest assured, the world is still catching up. Now, by way of introduction, I actually had the opportunity of taking a look at some of you individuals, and you guys are all very successful in your own right. So if you'll allow me a few seconds, maybe even a minute, to just introduce myself and build some credibility of why me. I'm a Persian American woman. I'm an thank you. I'm an older mother of 2 younger kids. I had my oldest at 38. You guys can do the math. We are a household of 5. My mother has lived with me since my second was born, and because of the support of my mother and my husband, I get to do what I love, which is to bridge the gap between the technical world and the non-technical world. Now, this wasn't always a calling. This completely happened by accident. No one grows up and says, hey, I want to be a mathematics genius or a computer scientist or a data scientist. It was a president, astronaut, doctor. Especially in my culture, you're either a doctor, a lawyer, or a professor. Like, there's no other options. But I actually played professional sports. I played rugby on the US women's national team coming out of college. Thank you. Times have changed, obviously. But what happens when we age? We don't recover as quickly, do we? A good night out, like last night, a pickup game at the field. I mean, heck, even getting out of bed sometimes, I'm like, how do you sleep wrong? But sometimes a shoulder is going to hurt, sometimes a hip is going to hurt. And that's exactly what had happened. And so I said, okay, it's time that I not play sports and travel and sleep on futons and eat ramen noodles all day long, but I should probably get a real job. And the first job I got was a data engineer role. It was geeky, but I found my tribe. I loved our Dilbert cartoons and our Marvel comic statues, and I was a nerd at heart, and I didn't even know about it. Long story short, I was there for 6 months, and then they pulled me aside, and they said, Sol, we love you, but you're never allowed to touch a lick of code again. And I was stuck, and I was like, oh my God, I'm getting fired. They're like, but you seem to like people, and we don't. So your job is you're going to communicate everything that we do to the business, and then gather their requirements and what it is that they want built, and then come back to us and tell us what they want built. And I was like, all right. And at first I thought I was just a gopher, but I fell in love with the business community. I learned P&L statements. I learned strategic initiatives. It just came naturally. I mean, I am Persian, we're merchants by trade, so business just naturally is in our DNA. But then I was able to take over everything that they wanted to the engineers, and then I could talk their language too. Now, I wasn't able to write code, but I could understand code. I understood the processes and the methods behind everything. Long story short, I've built an entire career out of being a translator between the non-technical world and the technical world. And I had the wonderful fortune of working for IBM, and I was known as their internal data gal, data lead, data expert. And then something pivotal happened, right? Talk about the power of suddenly. Watson became Jennings in Jeopardy in 2011. How many of you guys saw that? A few of us? Yes. It was a really pivotal moment because that's when IBM decided to take Watson to market. And I wanted in. And so I gracefully begged my boss's 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 boss, who knew of me for 4 months straight, because everyone wanted to be in Watson. It was like the cool thing to do. And I got my chance, and it was amazing, and I've been in the artificial intelligence space since 2011. I've also had some good fortune, and I've taken some risks, but since IBM Watson, I was a partner at IBM and at Ernst & Young. I was the first chief data and AI officer in 2016, before AI was even spoken about for Royal Caribbean, the cruise lines. I was the executive vice president for Sony Music, their chief data officer. I was the chief data and analytics officer for Merck Pharmaceuticals, and the chief analytics officer for Estee Lauder. Lots of industries, but as to quote my father, same sand, different shovel. From there, I resigned exactly a year ago from Enterprise. I was burnt out, I was exhausted, And something, again, pivotal happened. In November of 2022, ChatGPT came out. Finally, the space that I'd been working in for so long was no longer just available to other enterprises and other companies, but the product, the capability was actually available for us consumers. You can Google right now, free AI tool marketing, free AI tool sales, and you will get dozens and dozens and dozens of options. And that to me has just been groundbreaking. So I spent the past year traveling the world, doing the research, doing the work, writing a book, et cetera. And then I decided to go back in the belly of the beast because the pace of change is so fast. And as of 50 days ago, I became the head of technology in North America for Amazon for their startup division. So, oh, thank you. All that's to say, I don't know everything and I never will claim, but I know enough. All right, so timeline of artificial intelligence. There is no shortage of information coming at us. LinkedIn, social media, now everyone's an expert. And I'm like, you've been in the space for a year and a half. How on earth are you able to claim an expert? And it doesn't matter what newsletter or articles you're reading, it's everywhere. But 3 key pivotal movements that happened that brought us to this day and age. 1997, IBM, Deep Blue, televised a chess match against the world's greatest player. The machine won. 2011, IBM again, televised Watson and Kent Jennings, the world's greatest Jeopardy player, and the machine won. And then in November 2022, all of a sudden our nieces, our children, our neighbors, they were using this thing called ChatGPT, and the world awoke to artificial intelligence. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but a fun fact. Do you guys know that before OpenAI released ChatGPT, they had spent $2 billion in 8 years of research? For us, we just woke up to it, but it's been around for decades and decades and decades. But here's the funny thing about artificial intelligence. It's kind of like, it's hard to grasp. We know of the 2 letters. We know one stands for artificial, we know another stands for intelligence. But here's a cheat sheet. How on earth do you even define AI? Okay, machines doing stuff. But this was a fun, back of the napkin drawing that I think is absolutely brilliant that was created in 2018. And it comes ultimately down to our senses. Can it see? Can it reason? Can it hear or can it read? And so we're going to go through just 2 exercises, just to sharpen up our skills. So next time someone's trying to sell you something that's called AI, you're not falling for it. You can actually distinguish whether you should pay that premium or not.